arrests are happening. Trump's administration is not playing around. Kash Patel, guys, Pam Bondi, they are going after them. And it gets even better because we have bombshell news that Elon Musk's team has uncovered multiple high-ranking officials that the DOJ and Pam Bondi are going to be arresting for DOGE-related fraud and corruption that the DOGE team uncovered of using taxpayer dollars for nefarious purposes, guys. This is huge, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this because I'm telling you, they're not afraid. No more. They're FAFO, no more playing around. You mess with the deportations, you mess with ICE, you are going to jail. Multiple Democrat members of Congress and the Democrat mayor of Newark have been arrested for criminally trespassing at the ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey. Alina Habba announced that, yes, we have arrested the mayor, Race Baraka, after trespassing at ICE facility. Stephen Miller says that this is only the beginning because this interference of deportation at the federal level will have cause for prosecution and criminal charges. Guys, this is what we voted for. We want to clean up our state. We want to make sure that we hold people accountable, and this is actually happening right before our eyes, guys. We have everything to show you in just a moment. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But what I love better, guys, is that we got this huge news that Pam Bondi and the DOJ are about to criminally charge multiple high-ranking officials that the DOJ has said they have uncovered DOGE-related fraud. Guys, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars that high-ranking officials were using for their personal gain, stealing from the taxpayers, and they're about to get the hammer dropped on them, guys. This is huge because I'm telling you this. There's so much interference right now. You will not believe what I'm about to tell you next. To prevent independent journalists from uncovering additional proof of gang relationships and gang memberships and criminal activity, Judge Boasberg, this is the anti-Trump judge, guys, is allowing the TDA and MS-13 terrorists to sue the government and to do so anonymously. These MS-13 terrorists and TDA, that is literally what they are. It is proven. Judge Boasberg is allowing their lawsuit to the federal Trump administration to pass through, and he is keeping their names anonymous. Boasberg doesn't want a repeat of the Maryland Man embarrassment where citizen journalists uncovered extensive ties to MS-13, domestic abuse, and human trafficking. Guys, I am so ready for more arrests to happen. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments because, again, because of all this craziness, Stephen Miller came out and said the White House is now looking into suspending. Guys, this is Stephen Miller. This isn't Stephen Bannon or any other talk show. This is Stephen Miller, one of Trump's right-hand man. Said the White House is looking into suspending habeas corpus, which protects citizens from unlawful detentions, but this would go for illegal immigrants. That if they're here illegally, they're going to be out of here. We also have where New York Attorney General Letitia James has been served a federal grand jury subpoena as part of the criminal investigation into her alleged mortgage fraud. And guys, I'm telling you, I just want to say thank you to all of our veterans who watch, to everybody that has served. Thank you for your service. But what I love is what I'm about to tell you. President Trump has redirected funds previously used for housing criminal illegal aliens toward housing for homeless veterans. He said, no veteran in the United States will be homeless under my watch. That is the president that I voted for, guys. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments, guys. We got some breaking news and great stuff to get into tonight. Want to say thank you to all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. Thank you so much for your support. We're so excited about tonight's show, guys. This is going to be a good one, guys. We got some good stuff to show you. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News and hitting that subscribe button. We want to take care of you every day with the top news. Thank you so much to everybody that is a member of the channel and to everybody that has given a super chat donation. We're truly grateful for your support, guys. Thank you so much. And want to say, if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, man, we're about to get into it, guys. Trump is bringing back the law and order, baby. We've got mayors have been arrested. Democrat members have been arrested. We've got high-ranking officials that are about to be arrested by Pam Bondi and the DOJ. We have Letitia James, who has been served a subpoena by a federal grand jury. We have where President Trump is redirecting housing criminal illegal aliens funds towards housing for homeless veterans. We got a good one for you tonight, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
Trump's been giving bad hombres the boot, and the American people love it. The majority of the country supports 47's border policies, but Democrats fought it tooth and nail until they went to a pricey retreat where a consultant told them to knock it off. Quote, Democrats were told that former President Biden's failure to control the border drove voters to support Trump's vision for immigration. The lawmakers were encouraged to ditch their longtime message of comprehensive immigration reform. Oh.
Wow.
So Democrats had to lose 2 elections on immigration, and we're still going to stick to open borders until they paid a consultant to tell them no. These people are puppets. Why don't they just listen to the people instead of the consultants?
Boom.
The media is getting a reality check too. Watch.
Every time someone, whether it's Anna or someone else, mentions Kilmar or Brago Garcia, another Republican ballot, voter registration gets dropped in the mailbox. And that's why you had people like Hakeem Jeffries said, guys, no more El Salvador. Don't go to El Salvador. Why did he say that? Not because he wanted to, but because the people are not with the Democratic Party on this issue.
Democrats have to hate Trump more than they love America. They're already upset about a birthday parade for the American military.
Look, we're going to have a military parade for him. I was only half tongue-in-cheek saying this guy will be in a military uniform before long. He is fully headed towards authoritarianism. It is fully about the corruption about those who are around him.
Tampon was in the military. Wasn't honest about it, but he was in it. And he doesn't want a parade for the military?
For the military.
Do Democrats realize protesting a military parade isn't the best idea ahead of the midterm?
Guys, let me tell you this. You cannot make this stuff up. What the Democrats are protesting right now, look at this video right here. Let me blow this up for you. This is the mayor of Newark being arrested for trespassing into an ICE facility. Yeah, guess what? Nobody is above the law. Not even you Democrats. More Democrats were arrested. This is the actual picture of the mayor. Alina Habba was the one who actually announced and had her people go in to make the arrest. No more playing around. The Democrats are interfering too much at the highest level to interfere with Trump's deportation plans. And guess what? Nobody is above the law. You trespass. I don't care if you're a Democratic member. Your butt's going into jail. Let me know your thoughts.
Gavin Newsom set up a hotline to take calls from worried libs. They're burning up the hotline over Alcatraz.
The number of calls that I received, the number of voicemails and text messages from reputable reporters all across the country, from around the world, from other elected officials saying, help, what are we going to do? Can we stop this? And I told everybody, you cannot, you got to be kidding me. This is going nowhere. This is distraction day in the United States of America. Everybody, don't worry about it. Don't panic.
Putting MS-13 in Alcatraz is making progressives crazy. Why? What do they think, they're next? Just because you want Trump in prison doesn't mean he wants you there too. Carville says he's never been more scared in his whole life.
And he said, I'm really worried. I'm really scared. And you know what I tell him? You should be. You should be. Okay?
This guy's
There's a
so
lot
done.
to be scared of. I literally have never been more afraid than any point in my life. And I served in the Marine Corps during Vietnam. I cannot tell people in good conscience, oh, don't worry about it. We'll gut through this. That's not what I feel at all.
Carville lived through Nam, 9/11, and the pandemic. But the golden age has him shaking in his skivvies. But did you know Nancy almost died?
I was the first person of high rank to go to about 6 weeks after the invasion to Ukraine. It was scary. We thought we were going to die, but that was okay. We were dying for democracy.
Oh my goodness, guys. You want to talk about near-death experience? Let me tell you this. This right here, guys, is a joke. Right here, what you're seeing on the screen is these Democrats that think they're above the law breaking into this ICE facility over here and running through and pushing past police and all these people, guess what? Nobody is above the law. You want to talk about near-death experience? Talk about the people who actually lost their lives to these criminal gangbangers, and yet you never want to stand up for them. And I'm so glad that we're finally putting these Democrat Congress members in jail, this mayor in jail, because guess what? People need to see stop messing with the deportations. We are going to clean up America. We're going to make America safe again. So get out the way and allow Trump to do what he needs to do. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Actually almost died for democracy? Trump.
100%.
He was arrested and almost killed. Democrats are just jealous of his resume. Well, Nancy's pretending to be a war hero. Jazzy's calling half the country racist.
Y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like all of them. You got the Proud Boys. You got the neo-Nazis. You have people that literally should be classified as domestic terrorists, because a lot of times that is what they are doing. They're engaging in domestic terrorism. And guess what? They all align with your side inherently in like who you are. Y'all,
and they're saying that this lady is the next Democratic leader. I hope she is, because I'll tell you this, she will lose just like Kamala Harris did all day, every day. You cannot call more than half of the country that voted terrorists or Nazis. Guess what? You are losing your ever-loving mind.
Violent. Like, y'all, and most of your violence has to do with people that's got a little bit of melanin.
The Raging Cajun wants Jazzy, the Squad, and every other radical Democrat to shut up and get out of the limelight.
Ilhan Omar says that white men are responsible for most of the deaths in the United States. So let me get this straight. 69% of the people, I'm stuck on that number, I don't know, but 69% of the people going to vote are white. Of that, 48 and a half are males. So I don't know, my rough math is 33%. Let's go out and piss off 33% of the people that vote, and that's a smart strategy. I think these people are more trouble than they're worth.
Democrats should just listen to Carville. He knows a thing or two about reaching across the aisle.
Because I'm a very tribal political person. How
Oh,
can you marry somebody who's a Republican? How can you do that?
so I'll tell you exactly, Alice. I'm inspired by Woody Allen. He said the good thing about being bisexual, it doubles your chances to get a date. I thought about it and I couldn't do it. I tried. My God, I tried. But if you look like me and you limit yourself to Democrats, you need a bigger playing field, dude.
Remember the Heinz commercials? Good things come to those who wait. MSNBC must have missed that one.
So it's been more than a month, if you can believe it, since Donald Trump announced his sweeping and pretty ridiculous tariffs. But Mr. Art of the Deal, as he calls himself, has not yet struck a single trade deal, not a single one, with any single country.
Bad timing, Jen. Here's Trump a few hours later.
This morning, I'm thrilled to announce that we have reached a breakthrough trade deal with the United Kingdom. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade.
Let's go.
This is a big victory.
Guys, let me tell you this. The Democrats will continue to lose no matter where they stand, because they keep saying the craziest stuff. Look at this right here. Just like how Jen Psaki making these crazy statements, Judge Browsberg comes out and allows TDA and MS-13 terrorists to remain anonymous in a federal lawsuit that he is allowing against the Trump administration. Because remember, when you bring a lawsuit, if you didn't know this, guys, this is some education for you. And when you bring a lawsuit against anybody, it has to go before a judge, and a judge has to allow it. If a judge doesn't allow it, it never comes to life. You just can't sue somebody. A judge has to approve it. This dang judge who hates Trump approved a lawsuit for these TDA and MS-13 terrorists to literally sue the Trump administration. Tell me, Does this dude need to be disbarred, lose his judgeship? There's no way that this is common sense, whatever, but this is what is driving the Democratic Party. Non-common sense. And when Trump makes the deals and America is winning, guess what? Democrats are winning too, but Trump is winning for everybody.
For American farmers, American technology, and Detroit. They doubted Trump could pull it off. I'm not sure why. He cut a deal with Panama to kick China out of the canal. He did a deal with Ukraine for minerals, a deal with Mexico for migrants, and Hamas and Russia for hostages. We're even making popes in America now. And the good news keeps rolling in. Volkswagen's moving production to America, one of the biggest car makers in the world. This is what happens when you run the government like a business instead of a slush fund.
This goes back to that idea. So many Americans thought, we need to hire a businessman to run government like business. Two things about that are wrong. No, we don't need to run government like a business because we're not in the profit making. We're in the proving lives and looking towards the future. And this guy has a proven track record of being an absolute failure.
Would you rather our country turn a profit or be in debt? Walsh has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't even own a house or have any investments. Politicians sent away the jobs, and businessmen are bringing them back.
Let's go.
Risk takers, deal makers. They're running the trade talks. Why would you bet against that? These men have been winning for decades, and there are a lot more deals on deck.
We have many meetings planned today and tomorrow, and every country wants to be making deals. Every country throughout the last 40, 50 years has literally ripped off the United States on trade, on military, on protection, on all the different things. And we are now making fair deals.
India, South Korea, Japan, Israel, Australia, all in the batter's box. And we're meeting with China and Switzerland on Saturday.
Let's go.
These aren't partisan deals. They're pro-American. D.C. might be whimpering, but the people are all in.
How many people here love small businesses? There we go.
Guys, you know what I love, guys, is that no matter what, Trump is going to win for everybody. Trump is making sure that everybody is going to win under his watch. And what I love, too, is the people that have been on his team still fighting for him, just like Alina Habba. You know she's always had his back, had and announced the arrest of the Newark mayor for trespassing the ICE facility. They've lost their guys, they've lost their minds. They literally broke into the ICE facility trying to free illegal criminal aliens, guys. Look at this. This is the video that they're escorting him away, because what did he do? Whenever they were protesting, which, hey, if you want to protest, it's all good. I'm sorry, guys, right here. If you want to protest, that's all good. That's what's part of America. But you don't do this. You don't do this where you literally push through and push your way into the ICE facility, past all the cops, pushing down cops and all this. It is about time, and I'm glad that they got arrested. Nobody is above the law, because we need to hold these people accountable, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because again, things are happening in Congress. Things are happening that we're trying to keep track of everything. And what you're about to hear next, I'm telling you, there are so many dang rhinos in the government. It is insane. Listen to this.
On the policy front, we're lucky to have Terry Schilling with us. He's an expert across the board. He knows more than me on how DC works. And so, Terry, give me a grade on the policy comments, and then share us what you have to share today. I think in your space. Thanks for being with us, Terry.
Well, thanks so much, Congressman, and it's great to. I always see you. And then when it comes to economic policy, I typically just listen to Dave Brad and do what he tells me. Listen, I wanted to come on because these guys in Congress are starting to squish out in this big, beautiful bill in the House. We have an opportunity. America's $37 trillion in debt, and we have an opportunity to defund one of the most evil organizations in American history, Planned Parenthood. They have $500 billion a year. They perform half of America's abortions. And there's no reason they should get a single dollar of tax dollar funding because they spend $60 million a year in elections to unelect Republicans and attack them. This is a partisan organization, but here's where it gets really interesting, Dave, is Planned Parenthood just had an expose done on them by Lila Rose at Live Action. where it was uncovered that Planned Parenthood is sending puberty blocker drugs, cross-sex hormones to minors without their parents' knowledge or consent. And they're doing it within the first appointment. This is absolutely egregious. These puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones that we're putting these kids on for this whole transgender industry is killing these kids. It's making their lives miserable. It's taking away their ability to ever have a family. So I wanted to come on because I know how strong the War Room Posse is and just urge all of you, even if you have a good member of Congress, they need to hear from you and they need to know that you want them to defund Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood is giving our kids sex change procedure drugs, and they're also performing half of America's abortions. They fund campaigns and elections against Republicans.
Guys, I want to say, if you appreciate the exposing of the truth, guys, exposing all this corruption, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, let me tell you this. We're at the point now where these facilities that want to carry out what we're talking about, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that. My taxpayer dollars were going to drag shows in Ecuador. They were going to Sesame Street shows in Iraq. They were going to all this crazy stuff, and we're cleaning it up. That's the most important part of what we're hearing. Trump is cutting it off. We are going to put our tax dollars to the best use for America First policies, not left-wing ideologies.
We're in Congress. You know how pathetic it is that these Republicans would want to give $500 million to this evil organization when they're spending tens of millions of dollars every election to throw these guys out. Punish the wicked. We need to get these guys out. They're killing our kids. They're killing our babies. And they're trying to get us out of power. They shouldn't get a single dollar of taxpayer funding, especially because we're $37 trillion in debt. And so I just want to come on, light these guys up, call Congress, look up your member of Congress, every one of you. Again, even if it's a good member of Congress, you need to make your voices heard because they track these calls, they monitor them, and they vote accordingly. Especially if you're in Pennsylvania, there's Brian Fitzpatrick is one of the guys that's rumored to be causing some problems here. So light his phones up, light up all these guys. We got to make sure our voices are heard here.
Yeah, Terry, great analysis. We're funding this, right? This is the federal government intrusion in our lives par excellence on moral issues that a century ago were just unquestioned. What's the polling on these issues? Where do the American people side? It seems that our squishes are having a hard time listening to the American people.
Well, Dave, I'm so glad you asked that because I came with the tea. Look, on the transgender issue specifically, when it comes to taxpayer funding, this isn't an 80-20 issue. It's not a 60-40 issue. This is a 90-10 issue.
Yes.
Even Democrats don't want their tax dollars funding sex change procedures, not just for minors, but for inmates, for anything. They don't want tax dollars. If you want to get a sex change, fine, but you got to pay for it. I'm not paying for it. I got 7 kids. I pay enough in taxes, right? So the polling on this is very clear. Defunding Planned Parenthood is extremely popular, but also the issue of funding abortions and sex change procedures, it's a 90-10 issue. You are voting, you are siding with the Democrats on the wrong side of a 90-10 issue if you are voting to fund abortions and sex change procedures through Planned Parenthood. This is a winning issue, and it's actually something that President Trump used to get elected. Dave, you remember the they-them ad, Kamala Harris is for they-them, Donald Trump's for you. The central message there was that Kamala Harris supported sex change procedure funding, sex change procedures for federal inmates. That was what got that ad was seen more times.
Let me tell you this, guys. If the Democrats have ever been on the wrong side of history, it is right now. And what I love is that you have people that are going out everywhere, just like American Principles Project, just like America First Legal, just like Tom Fitton. And just like right here, every one of Trump's pit bulls, all of his alliances are coming together, fighting for the cause, putting America first, guys. Stephen Miller came out and said the White House is looking to suspend habeas corpus, which protects people from unlawful detentions. Why? Because the judges are trying to keep the illegal criminals here, the illegals here. Trump is saying, nope. Him and his team, we're putting Americans first. Doesn't matter what it may be. We're putting Americans first, and we're putting common sense first.
By more people, and was the most remembered attack in the post-election focus groups. It's a winning issue. It's that clear.
Let me ask you this, because you know we're losing House and Senate momentum here. Trump has shown the way clearly. You go in full steam with guts, and you tell the American people, "This is what I'm running on," and then you execute on what you run on. And he wins the election bigger than anyone thought possible because he came in with a plan. And so how do we shift the House? If the House leadership would come in with the top 10, right, a contract with America in the Senate, which they have not done, right? And then they're scared of losing the midterm. It's all about fear.
It is.
And that's no way to lead, right? You can't lead out of fear. We need to lead with boldness and confidence. And if the American people don't want what we want, then that's okay. But the American people do what we have on offer. So what's your challenge to leadership to set up a contract and to make some promises ahead of this? Then I think we win. Trump showed us we have the people to win. So what's the hang up?
Well, I'll tell you, Speaker Mike Johnson's actually a huge advocate, and he's been asking for some additional pressure on these. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that he has, but we have friends in leadership that have been saying he's with us on this, but he needs to get these guys more pressure to get them on board. Look, we have a 4-seat majority in the House, right? And these guys need to feel the heat. Again, I apologize for I spoke out of turn about Speaker Johnson. He has not spoken to me directly about this, but we know that he supports defunding Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
We know that he's behind us, but he's got a 4-vote majority, and we've got to get these guys in line, because if we lose those 4 votes for this bill, it won't pass, and then we're back to the drawing board.
Guys, let me tell you this. When you have the majority, regardless if it's 3, 4, 20, or 10, you get everybody in line, and everybody votes for common sense. I want to show you this video, guys, because if this is not crazy, let me know your thoughts, because we are exposing that the Democrats will do anything for their left-wing crazy agenda. Listen to this.
I want to get to my next guest, DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Tricia McLaughlin. Tricia, thank you for being with us here today. Can you give us the latest on what went down here today at this facility? It is an ICE facility, but it's also a private contractor, I believe, working for the government. Who is housed inside this facility?
Well, thanks for having me. There's been for days protests outside of this ICE facility, Delaney Detention Hall, which was opened just in May. So it's very recent. It houses MS-13 gang members. It houses rapists, child predators, multiple, an MS-13 gang member, even a suspected terrorist. So these are really the worst of the worst in this facility. And the fact that the Democrats are trying to get these individuals out of the facility, but to set the scene here, Will, what happened was that there was a bus full of detainees trying to get through the gate when these Democrat politicians and protesters stormed that gate and got to the first security checkpoint. So when you're seeing any of these people being restrained, it's because they illegally broke into this facility. And we can expect, a civilian, if they try to break into a detention facility, they will be physically restrained.
Yes.
Members of Congress also have to follow the law. Had they asked us to take a tour of that facility, we would have happily facilitated that for them. You heard them themselves saying that the facility was in good shape, Will.
Right. They are making the argument, as we just heard during the final moments, the final minutes of Martha McCallan's program during that press conference, that they were conducting congressional oversight. Tricia, I was looking into this right before we came on air. There is the power of Congress to conduct spot oversight. The limits, which are shaped by not only the Constitution, but several Supreme Court decisions informing the scope of that power of oversight for congressman, seems to be not to interfere with executive authority. It's hard to look at any of the video that took place today and say you're not interfering. Even though you may have the power of oversight, you're not directly interfering in executive authority and the execution, in this case, of bringing a busload of detainees into a facility, not interfering with the executive authority.
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you appreciate that we finally put some people in handcuffs, these crazy trying to protect illegals over American citizens, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, I am so happy. Why? Because we've wanted accountability for so long, and we're finally getting to see it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
congressional oversight to break and enter into a facility with security precautions. They put law enforcement at risk, and they actually put the detainees at risk as well. So to say that it's congressional oversight is laughable. Again, we would have facilitated that tour and happily, and eventually, actually, they did take a tour even after they broke and entered that facility.
All right, Trish.
That's guys, I'm telling you that we are going to the Democratic Party is so lost on where things are at nowadays, guys. I'm telling you, if a mayor who knows the law, no one is above the law. Alina Habba called it out because she's over New Jersey, because it was this Newark mayor who came in, Ross Baraka. Let's learn about a little bit about Ross Baraka. Ross Baraka, who came in, broke past the perimeter, was trying to get in, that and everybody else who tries to do this, you will be arrested. You will be prosecuted. You are not above the law. They're trying to get these detainees out safely. They're trying to make sure things are done the right way. And what I love is that everybody is getting to see the common sense take place right now with America. This is what I love. Pete Ortiz, let's go with the super chat. Said Pam is the alpha and has Tish, Fanny, judges, and pedophiles running. Let's go. In what's new with the super chat. Said MAGA fights alongside our President Trump. We trust him and support his agenda. So that's it. I love it. Y'all show Peter and what's new some love in the chat. Check this out.
Lovely people. The mayor of Newark, New Jersey getting arrested as 3 Democrat members of Congress clashed with federal agents after they broke into an ICE facility in the Garden State that's holding MS-13 gang members. We're talking child rapists and more horrible people. DHS claims they all stormed in through a gate that had opened up for a transportation vehicle. The Dems claim they should be allowed to conduct an oversight investigation or a visit, and then raged at oppressor. Watch this.
Not only was I assaulted, but Congressman Bonnie Watson was assaulted, and of course Congressman Rob Menendez was roughed up as he was trying to protect us.
You can imagine the fear of individuals just going about their lives in the streets.
ICE brought to meet the mayor of Newark over 20 armed individuals. 20 armed individuals. It was an act of intimidation.
Yeah, that's a dollar store Beto, I guess. Okay, and yet the Democrats' rising star, Jasmine Crockett, is shrugging off political violence as just she says it's a right-wing thing.
They try to act like, oh, political violence, it's the Democrats and it's the liberals. And it's like, actually, I mean, I'm not going to say that like a left-leaning person cannot be violent, because that would be like crazy to say that somebody can't.
Do y'all remember the protest, the BLM protest in Minnesota? Burning down the entire half of the city, billions and billions of dollars wasted, businesses wasted. You tell me that the left can't be violent? Are you kidding me? Guys, what reality are these people living in?
But baby, y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like all of them. You got the Proud Boys. You got the neo-Nazis. You have people that literally should be classified as domestic terrorists.
Wow. Domestic terrorists. This is something, the idea here is that political violence it seems to, and today exist extremely on the left compared to the right.
Yeah, I think you had one day. One bad day for the right,
Exactly.
and they had to like milk it for all it's worth. Commissions, you name it, throw everybody in jail. They've done this every single day since like 1963. They haven't stopped. And think about all the crap that the Dems are doing now. The singing, the shouting, flying to El Salvador, storming ICE. They've replaced law and order with performance art. The problem is, like all performance art, no one buys it. It's one and done. It's self-serving. It doesn't offer any service to the community that they claim to help. No one really remembers Van Hollen going to El Salvador. I'm sure he would like people to forget about it. I won't. Somebody should put out an Amber Alert for Van Hollen. Where is that douchebag? That guy wasted, how many weeks of our lives being a self-righteous jerk? Sorry, I was going through all the words in my head and I came up with jerk. But this is all, you know what this is? This is all traced back to the guilty white liberal and the soft bigotry of no expectations. They believe you cannot be held accountable for your actions. You're almost too childlike to be expected to conform to civilized behavior. This is why you have the affluent white female libs, awfuls, defending extra rights for male perverts, gang members, and psychopaths. Imagine if a lot of women there went into this ICE structure alone without any security. What might happen there? They'll never find out because they have security. Meanwhile, it's American men, mothers, and wives who have said enough. Americans are generally pretty laid back until they're not, and then they've had enough. You elected Trump. The adults enter the room. These are children. This is a tantrum. They expect us to respect that. We won't.
Yeah.
Katie, you talk about violence. I'm old enough to remember when police officers around the country were being assassinated. 5 in Dallas at a mostly peaceful protest. And now you have Democrat members of Congress going on there. I was assaulted. I mean, they looked real assaulted to me. I mean, roughed up grandma there.
It's a show. And again, what are the Democrats' priorities? So the mayor of Newark oversees a city that right now has a huge problem with their airport. It's an international hub. He's not dealing with that problem. It's a city that has a higher than usual crime rate compared to the national average. And what is he doing? He's showing up at a federal facility, trespassing, breaking in, and getting arrested for show. And then the congressmen and women who are there with him go out to the cameras and claim that they're assaulted. Well, it's not assault when you break in to federal property.
Did you hear them, guys? They said, we've been assaulted. He's been roughed up. You literally tried to break into a federal facility and the police were there trying to keep you out. What do you think was going to happen? Like, guys, I honestly, when we report this stuff, sometimes I don't even believe the Democrats do what they do, but it is mind-blowing that in their minds, they think it's normal. They think they're doing justice. Let me know your thoughts, guys, because to me, I'm just like, keep doing this. Keep showing what you truly are, because America's common sense will vote the other way every single time.
Property, and it is a federal crime to trespass without permission. And I think if you look at the way that certain people have been prosecuted for trespassing on federal property, and Democrats continue to say the law is the law, that maybe they should be prosecuted in the same way as the insurrectionists. Exactly.
Harold.
One more thing just about the people they're defending in this ICE facility. There are people in...
The focus should be on bringing people together and solving problems. And it may sound corny, but I don't mind being corny.
Can I say one more thing just about the people they're defending in this ICE facility? There are people in there who have actually assaulted people.
Yes.
People who have actually committed sexual assault, other kinds of violence against American citizens. And the Democrats who stormed and breached the premises are trying to protect them.
They should let them in and let them hang with them for a few hours.
Yeah,
Rosanna, it's not just this ICE facility. I just not far from here, Brooklyn University had, I guess protesters thought they were going to make an encampment, and the university said, no, we're not having that. They call in NYPD. They say, come in and clean this out. They do. Protesters get violent. Next thing you know, they're claiming that they're being assaulted, and all the police are doing is exactly what their job is. Is this leaning towards another anti-police movement? Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to get violent in these protests. We're seeing it, Antifa, that kind of thing. Now it's the Antifada.
It seems like...
Guys, let me tell you this. While they are focused on trying to get to criminal illegal aliens, trying to bust them out for whatever reason, Trump is over here. And guys, I love this. And again, I want to say thank you to every service member that watches this, that has served our country. Thank you for your service. President Trump to redirect funds previously used for housing criminal illegal aliens toward housing homeless veterans. Guys, what an amazing thing to actually keep it in the spotlight. Focus on taking care of our veterans, those that have served. He's focused on this. They're focused on the criminal illegal aliens. If this keeps happening, I promise you, we're going to win the midterms. Where LGOE, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Where LGOE some love in the chat. Guys, and if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, I am loving getting to report all this stuff, because what we're showing is that We are moving forward as a country. Trump is taking care of American citizens, and the Dems are losing every single day more and more.
Police, especially in New York City, have been very measured in dealing with these campus protests, whether it's at Columbia University or Brooklyn, where it happened just a few days ago. And by the way, some of those protesters defacing property all over the place and encouraging, a little bit of aggression. They want to see something happen. With the Newark mayor being arrested today, I keep thinking about New York City's mayor, right? And the mayor of Newark and how different they are. So the mayor of Newark storms a federal facility knowing full well he probably will get arrested.
Yep. He knew it.
Hoping to get arrested because he wants to have some kind of stance on the migrant situation. We have the mayor of New York City who basically got arrested, he said, because he went to Washington and shamed, at the time, President Biden for his stance on how he was handling the migrant situation in New York City. In fact, Mayor Adams is in D.C. today talking to President Trump, and I'm sure the migrant situation is on there.
Guys, let me tell you this. This guy knew what he was doing. But what I'm glad is that, you know what? You want to be arrested for trespassing? Arrest it. Alina Habba came out, arrested this dude, and so much more is coming, guys. Because, again, what Habba said is no one is above the law. You want to come out and you want to try to interfere with the deportation, with trying to set free migrants, guess what? You will be put in jail, and that's exactly what happened. And what I love what I get to show you next, too, guys, because, again, too, what we're seeing is that Trump's bulldogs are coming out. They're showing everybody, look, we're going to get things done. We're going to make America safe, whether you Democrats like it or not. Listen to this, because this is some bombshell news. Stephen Miller tells us about the next step for Trump's administration when it comes to immigration.
But since you all are graciously gathered here, I'll take a few questions. And I think you also just had like an hour with Caroline, so I don't want to step on that too much either.
Mr. Miller,
hold on, there's a question back there first.
I have two quick questions. First, President Trump has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus to take care of the illegal immigration problem. When could we see that happen, do you think?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just, the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch, the courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller, to further incentivize deportation of illegal aliens, is the administration considering going after businesses that knowingly employ illegal aliens?
Well, they already have. Worksite enforcement, I don't have the exact statistics, but it's at multiple hundreds of percent. So the increase in worksite enforcement has been dramatic, it's been immediate, and that will continue.
Why is President Trump moving to dismiss 3 Democratic members of the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, I think Caroline answered this question in the briefing today. The president is the head of the executive branch, and it's the president's prerogative to ensure that all executive branch employees are the best, the brightest, the most committed to fulfilling the agenda that they have, whether it be in their agency or any post in government.
Is the president going to replace them?
Well, again, we'll take a look at the situation, but the important thing is, I'll take a look at the specifics that you're talking about here, but the important thing to understand is that we don't just let people stay in their jobs just because they were always there, right? We have to examine the performance of specific employees, whether they're doing the best that they can do. I know that in particular, as a parent, there's been lots of concerns that I've had, that my family's had about product safety in this country. We can absolutely do better, and we will do better, but that requires hiring the best people for the job. And President Trump will always hire the best people for the job. Yes.
When we talk to the president's voters, they bring up a couple issues. One, it's been 3 months, and they still haven't gotten down to the 2020 election. They're concerned about the whole voting situation, and they also want to know about what happened to the assassination attempt.
Those are all great questions. So
they're really concerned.
Those are all great questions. The Department of Justice, of course, is working on all three of the things that you just mentioned, and hopefully we'll have a further update soon. I can tell you on election integrity that the president recently signed an executive order that was the most comprehensive election integrity order that was ever issued. And as you may recall, that included in it a requirement to verify citizenship to vote.
Yes.
Another example where a district court judge lawlessly intervened, enjoined that requirement. Now think about this. Congress passed a law, making it a crime, a felony, for non-citizens to vote. And yet a judge has enjoined the executive branch from enforcing and upholding that statutory requirement. So the courts, the radical rogue judges, they don't care what Congress said. They don't care about what the Constitution says. They're just imposing their own Marxist agenda on the whole country. And that's obviously...
They want to follow up on January 6th.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Department of Justice is investigating all of the issues that you mentioned. I wish I had a full update for you now, but I can assure you that our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, our FBI Director, now Ed Martin, at the Weaponization Working Group will all be, and of course we put up a new DC attorney, will all be diligently working on ensuring accountability.
Guys, who's our new DC attorney? Judge Jeanine Pirro, making it happen, guys. And what I love too, Ed Martin, who's over the weaponization of all types of things within the DOJ, they're now going to be adding to going after the lawlessness, going after all the craziness, because let me tell you this, the more and more that we push towards common sense, it doesn't matter, guys, if you're Democrat or Republican. Common sense is common sense. Take care of our seniors. Take care of our kids. Make sure that we put America first. Make sure we have secure borders. Make sure that we're safe. Why is that so hard to ask for in this day and time in America? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
And justice. Yes,
back there. Question. Tom Homan used some colorful language earlier this year to describe how he would be demanding accountability from New York City Mayor Eric Adams if he didn't cooperate with ICE. Is Eric Adams holding up his end of the bargain thus far?
All I would say to that is this administration is going to pursue immigration enforcement and cooperation in every city. And anyone who doesn't comply with the laws and dictates of this country will face the appropriate legal consequences. That applies to Eric Adams, and that applies to every other mayor in this country. The law is the law is the law. And if obstruction, if hindering, if harboring occurs, then the full range of potential penalties applies to any federal official, any state official or local official that's engaging in obstructionist behavior. But I would also say that when it comes to immigration enforcement, now that we have achieved the mission of sealing the border, you're going to see more and more resources and priorities put into the mass deportation program. And so on a day-to-day basis, you're going to see exponentially larger numbers of illegal aliens being arrested and removed from the interior.
Boom. Guys, let me tell you this. I want to show you this real quick. Because again, when it comes to the focus, where is the focus at? Right now, this right here makes me sick. That a federal judge has allowed these TDA and MS-13 gang members that have been captured by ICE to allow a federal lawsuit against the Trump administration. Remember, judges are the one that have to approve for a lawsuit to even come to life. And Judge Boasberg has allowed that. And not only that, he's allowing to keep their names anonymous as this lawsuit against the Trump administration begins to proceed. Guys, this right here to me is in a sense kind of like treason. How could you allow people that are illegals in the country, have been known to be terrorists, MS-13 TDA, and allow them to sue our federal government, our president, and the Trump administration? Makes no sense whatsoever. But this is what these judges are allowing. And what I love is what I'm about to show you next, that Trump is pulling all the federal funding from anybody, all these states. Because guys, let me tell you this. This is actually, again, because it attacks our women. It really does. But Trump is pulling the funding from all those states that are allowing men and women's sports. And again, it's the facts. These dudes who literally couldn't get into the top 10 whatsoever of their own sport, they transition. Now they're number one. They're breaking records. They're beating out girls for girls scholarships to colleges. It's mind blowing. Listen to this, because this is accountability, guys. I love it. Our girl Marjorie Taylor Greene holding these people accountable, as well as her team of making sure if you're going to go against Trump's executive orders, you're not getting federal funds. It is what it is. Listen to this.
Now recognize Mr. Gill from Texas.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This is an excellent hearing, and we really, really appreciate your leadership, incredible leadership on this topic and on this community, on this issue. And I'd also like to thank our witnesses, Ms. Turner and Ms. McNabb, for particularly moving testimonies. And thank you for your bravery for coming here. I know it takes a lot of guts to testify before a congressional committee. Mr. Layfield, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Do you think that men should be allowed in women's locker rooms?
Sir, those regulations are set by tournament
I'm just
organizers.
asking you yes or no. Do you think men should be allowed in women's locker rooms?
I don't have a personal opinion on
You don't have a
sir.
personal. You have a personal opinion on a lot of things.
You got to be a sick lunatic to not even have a personal opinion to say, you know what? Men shouldn't be in girls' restrooms. Protect the women. Like, this is the people that are literally in charge of so many things in America.
But not on that?
Sure. I mean, it's a locker room is not really an area where people interact.
So the answer is yes.
I don't
Do you
really
think
have
that men should be allowed to share showers with women in athletic facilities?
I think that showering is a private activity and that it should be private.
And it should be private. There's oftentimes communal showers. Are you okay with men showering with women?
I don't have an opinion on that in the context of USA.
You don't. So. Interesting. That's an astounding thing to not have an opinion on. I think most normal people have an opinion on that. Are you okay with women being at a disadvantage when competing against men in sports?
Sir, mixed events happen all the time, and
No,
women are
that's
often...
not my question. Are you okay with, let me ask it this way, are you okay with cis females being at a disadvantage?
If their competitor, assuming that you're talking about...
It's a yes or no question.
Female, that they've met the requirements set forth in the policy.
Why did you post on social media for the world to see? You were asked in an anonymous question, which you posted online, are you okay with cis females being at a disadvantage? You said, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Congressman Cloud that had asked me about that, sir, and I'm happy to address it again. That was a one-word answer to a more nuanced topic, and I feel like if I could take it back and expound a little bit more than what I had there.
Reclaiming my time.
Sure.
Do you think that do you think that parents who don't want their daughters competing against men in women's sports are whiny?
No, sir.
You don't? Why did you write that on social media? I've got a picture here where you posted that. You were allegedly responding to a parent who didn't want their daughter being beaten up by men in sports competitions. You said, I'm not going to pull her from the sport and write a whiny email announcing my departure.
Sir, Mr. Congressman Jack had asked me about that and want to be crystal clear that was an inappropriate message.
Do you think that they're cowardly?
Sir, no, I don't. I don't at all. And in fact...
Why did you write that on social media?
I regret it, sir. I deleted it shortly after posting it. I certainly don't feel that way anymore. And given a lot of the messages that we receive and even conversations that I've had...
Do you think that parents who don't want their daughters competing against men in sports should be compared to the Ku Klux Klan?
No, absolutely not. And
why did you do
said
that?
that in the message, sir.
Why did you do that?
That was inappropriate.
That was inappropriate?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're right. That isn't inappropriate. I'd like to...
Guys, you know what I want to say is how many times have we heard of there being a problem with women competing or transgender... I always get it confused, guys. Transgender men are women that have transitioned to be men, I think, or trying or whatever. Why do we never hear about them actually in men's sports? Because they can't make it. They don't even get on the team. Because there's no, when you're playing a physical sport, it's about the physicality. Doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what color your skin is. It matters about the physicality and the skill set that you possess to be able to play that sport. The reason we don't hear about it for the other way, we only hear about it whenever men want to play in women's sports, is because physically men are bigger and stronger, carry more muscle mass in their bodies. It's pure biology. But you never hear it on the other side because women can't even make it onto the teams. It's not even in the same game. And what I love is you literally have these people that will stand before Congress and defend men who can't win in their own dang sports, who now have to go and beat up or try to overtake women in their sports, and it is completely unfair. And I'm 100% in support of Trump pulling their federal funding for this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
Read what you wrote and what you posted on social media.
Sure.
Responding allegedly to a lady who had these concerns. The only wizard that's going to dig you out of the myopic hole you've put yourself and your family in is one of the, quote, grand wizard variety.
Inappropriate, sir, and I acknowledge that I said it, and I will commit to never making a message like that again.
That was in response to a parent, according to you on social media, who had a problem with this. Was this a real email that you were responding to?
It was a real email, sir. I did not respond to it and hit send.
This was a real email. Did an actual parent write this, or did you write this email?
It was written by an actual person claiming to be a parent. They were not a member of our...
Were you that actual person?
No, sir.
You were not that actual person, but you staged this whole interaction.
The response, sir, was not real, and I regret that.
Okay. You think inclusivity presumably is a big part of the fencing community, is that right?
I would say so, sir. We're a very welcoming community, and I'm proud of that.
Are you welcoming to Trump supporters?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Then why did you, in your Facebook page, from the fencing coach, right, imagine being one of 71 million people dumb enough to vote re-election for a treasonous clown who's permanently banned from Twitter for inciting an insurrection, you mad MAGA bros.
Wow.
I acknowledge that I stated that in my personal capacity, sir. However, as chair,
that was from the fencing coach.
I have to acknowledge that 77 million people voted for him in re-election.
That wasn't your personal capacity. That was from your capacity as, quote, the fencing coach online.
Yes, like that is my blog, sir. That's my publication, and I acknowledge writing that.
All right, my time is up. Thank you.
Guys, I have to show you this. So this broke, with the, they arrested the new Newark mayor, and everybody's kind of having a big, tizzy over it. The governor, Phil Murphy, said, "I am outraged by the unjust arrest of Newark Mayor Ross Baraka earlier this afternoon." And then people are saying, well, they shouldn't arrest the mayor. You arrested a former president. I think that Trump's mayor didn't have no problem with that, did you? Arrested a former president, and they had no issues with that. But now, oh my goodness, a mayor who literally breached a federal the federal fence and went past where he shouldn't have been, got arrested, and he knew he would be, and now they're trying to make a big deal about it. Guys, what a joke. That's all it is right now, is it's a joke that we are seeing in real time. I'm just looking, like, while all this is happening, guys, I don't know about y'all, but I'm looking at Congress, because they need to get their butts in order, codify these dang laws that Trump's trying to put into law. Because I'm telling you, if they don't do this, then all this craziness that we're seeing is going to happen in 4 years if we lose the presidency again. That's what I'm worried about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
The president expressing big confidence in the big, beautiful bill.
I believe it's the biggest bill of its kind ever in the history of this country. And Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done an incredible job. I mean, I'll let you know we have to get a vote, but we have a lot of support for that bill.
Yeah, that as the Senate Republicans held a retreat on Wednesday to discuss the stalled reconciliation bill.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune joins us right now on the couch. Great to see you, Senator.
Great, Senator.
Thanks, President made some news, and he put this on Truth Social. He's looking to raise the upper bracket on tax reform when it comes to Big Beautiful Bill. He says this: the problem with even a tiny tax increase for the rich, which I and others would graciously accept in order to help the lower middle income workers, is that the radical left Democrat lunatics will say, read my lips, like George Bush, the elder that said that cost me the election, Ross Perot cost me the election. In any event, Republicans should probably not do it, but I'm okay if they do it. So having said that, are you open to raising the top bracket, which is now 37.5, maybe putting it up to 39?
Right. Well, and what I always say, Brian, is we don't want to raise taxes on anybody. I mean, we're about lowering taxes on Americans. But as the House, and they're the first mover on this, as they look at how...
Let me tell you this. I don't care who you are. If our government can't manage a budget for nothing, they are the worst right now. I literally despise Congress right now because they're the ones that is in control of the purse. And if you're in control of the purse, it's your fault why we are $37 trillion in debt. Not the American people, it's your fault. And for somebody to think that in any level that it's okay for somebody who busts their butt, who makes, I don't care if it's $1 million, 10 million, or 100 million, to take 40 cents out of every dollar that they make. Guys, that is not American. That's not freedom. 40 cents out of every dollar that you make. That is mind-blowing. You will see people leave. Why? Because it's not fair. And a lot of people say, well, they have more than enough money. That's not for you to choose. Money is subjective. And when think about how many people actually make $1 million or more. It's not a lot. Why? Because it's so freaking hard. But when you make a lot of money, I'm not talking about kids that inherited. I'm not talking about people that got business. I'm talking about people that pulled themselves up by their bootstraps to make this type of money. And then for the government who can't manage their own dang money and is giving it to all kinds of foreign countries to come and tell you owe 40 cents on every single dollar to the federal government. Heck no.
To accomplish the president's big, beautiful bill, they've got to figure out how to wedge all the things the president wants to do, extension of existing tax policy, hopefully making a lot of those policies permanent into a certain amount that they have to work with. And so I think the president's emphasis, particular emphasis on working Americans, is one that most people appreciate. And that's why you got the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, lowering taxes on Social Security, people who are on... And I think, his focus in this, yes, is getting growth in the economy, which is what the business side does. And, clearly there, it's faster cost recovery, it's lower rates. You want to get growth in the economy, better paying jobs, people making more money, taking realizations, paying taxes. Government revenue goes up.
But Mr. Leader, what's the latest on SALT? Because I saw that statement from the entire New York delegation, the Republicans, and they're saying that they want SALT in there. They want the deduction. I
At
say
60%?
Right, I don't think it's fair. And I pay New York taxes, but I'm from Texas where we have no state income tax. But they're saying that they won't vote for the bill unless it's there.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's predominantly, Lawrence, a House issue because of New York and California. But when frankly, I think we realized to get the bill passed, we're going to have to give some relief. But the point in 2017 of capping the SALT and putting a cap on the deduction was to get out of the practice of having low tax states subsidize high tax states in this country. Mm-hmm. And so as a matter of policy, I think it's the right policy. But I do understand that there are people who are impacted in certain parts of the country, which is why I think the House is going to have to figure out a way to accommodate that. But we need to do it in a way that's reasonable and realistic and doesn't break the bank, because they've got to, like I said, there's a lot of stuff they have to wedge into this, the headroom that they have to get this done. And I think the president is rightly focused on working Americans.
I think it's smart for you to say we want to continue these tax cuts from 2017, but we also want to make them permanent. Permanent. The Democrats are accusing Republicans, Donald Trump and the Republicans want to cut Medicaid. Listen to this and we'll get your reaction.
It's extremely cruel to put in place or to promote $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid, which is going to just devastate health care, especially in rural areas. But everybody's going to be affected by this.
The battle lines have been drawn. Democrats are standing on...
Again, guys, the context matters. $880 billion cut in Medicaid over 10 years. That is $88 billion a year. Do y'all want to know how much fraud, waste, and abuse is in Medicare and Medicaid each year? over $200 billion. What they are cutting is the fraud, waste, and abuse, not the actual benefits to people that really deserve it. The way these politicians word things is so evil. It's so manipulative. Guys, I wish that we could hold them accountable to this. Because it's $888 billion over 10 years. $88 billion a year of cuts to fraud, waste, and abuse.
On the side of healthcare and the American people, Republicans, once again, are trying to take it away.
It only takes a handful of Republicans to stop this, to protect Medicaid and save working families from losing their health care and going hungry.
So, Senator, apparently you're taking away health care. Is that true?
No. And you know, I think the one thing, Ainsley, when the Democrats had unified control of the government, House, Senate, and White House 2 years ago, which is what we have today, which is rare for Republicans, they did two, quote, reconciliation bills, which increased spending by about $3 trillion and expanded a bunch of these programs. And if you look at how government has grown, it's like this. All we're simply saying is we need growth in the economy, and we get that through the stimulative tax policies that are going to be included in this plan. And then you've got to restrain the growth in spending. And if you start doing that, you start getting this thing in balance. What we have is a $38 trillion debt. And there are basic reforms to programs like Medicaid that I think most Americans agree with. One is work requirements. I mean, people who get this benefit, able-bodied adults, ought to be working. And so that's something that I think both House and Senate agree upon, but that has nothing to do with affecting beneficiaries, which is what Democrats are going to say. Democrats are going to scream no matter what. Because that's what they do. They grow government, and when they're in power, they spend. And when we're in power, we want to make the economy the place where we get the growth and where people get better paying jobs and better health care and everything else. And so it's a very different philosophy, and that's a political attack they're going to make, but it's a how.
All I know, guys, is that Mike Johnson and I think Thune are not moving fast enough. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We need action. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching. Thank you to all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. Thank you so much for your support, guys. It means the world to us that you support us. And if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button, joining our family. We want you here. We want to take care of you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, it really does help the channel so much. Guys, I want to give some love to those in the chat today. Thank you to all of our members as well. Your continued support, guys. We're literally giving back more and more every single month to these local charities on the 22nd of every single month. Remember, here you're going to see this guy donate live on stream to a local charity. We are changing lives. And this month, guys, we're giving to a local orphanage called Tupelo Mansion that just is there for these kids that don't have anybody. It means the world to us whenever you support us. Want to give some love to What's New, Peter Ortiz, Where LGOE, let's go. Y'all show them some love in the chat. Thank you so much for liking these videos, sharing these videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.